Huh? What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Ogreboy, and I'm going to be doing my ranking for all 6 movies in Phase 2 of the MCU. So last week I reviewed AntMan, which means I'm done re-reviewing the MCU Phase 2 movie, so I thought I'd go ahead and rank them this week. You'll also be getting my Captain America Civil War review later on this evening as well, so but I'm going to go ahead and get going. Coming in at number 6 is AntMan. I hate that I have it at the bottom, but I like all the other movies more than this one, if I'm being honest. But AntMan is a really fun movie. It's a lot of really good time. I've always really enjoyed this movie and thought that it was underrated, and I still do think it is one of the more underrated MCU movies and everything. It's a smaller scale, no pun intended, but it is a lot of fun to watch. Paul Rudd is great in this movie as Scott Lang, and so is everybody else. Everybody's great in here too, but especially him. Michael Douglas is excellent as Hank Pym, and Evangeline Lilly is great as Wasp, but all of the cast are just great in here, and I love the high story and the smaller scale of it and everything. I will say it kind of had a weak villain. Yellow Jacket wasn't the best villain in the movie or one of the best MCU villains, but it is still a pretty entertaining movie. So AntMan is number 6, and number 5 is Thor: The Dark World. This movie is really underrated. I've always really enjoyed it quite a bit. I do get people's criticisms and stuff of it. Like, the villain is very, very generic and stuff. Malekith is a terrible villain, but it does have more good than bad. It has a lot of good moments with Thor and Loki. It has some fun action scenes, and it is a pretty fun movie. That my biggest problems with this movie is Malekith, the villain, is pretty bad, and I'm not real crazy for a lot of the stuff with Thor and Jane in this movie. They just don't really have great chemistry. I felt like that in all 3 movies that they've been in together, that they just don't have the best chemistry and everything. And Natalie Portman just really phoned in her performance in this movie because she really didn't want to be here, and you can tell and everything. But all in all, I think this one is still a pretty good movie, and it's not near as bad as people say it is and everything. And so Thor: The Dark World is number 5, and number 4 is Iron Man 3. This is another one like Thor: The Dark World that I feel is kind of underrated. It got a lot of hate when it first came out because of the Mandarin twist, which I was one of the ones that hated on it. Now, looking back at it, I just find it as a good joke in the MCU. It's not necessarily the best joke in the MCU, but it's not really as bad as everyone says it is, and I think that Trevor is still a pretty funny character and stuff. Ben Kingsley does a really good job playing him, and I will say that the villain is still pretty weak in this movie. Guy Pearce's character, I can't remember what his name is. He's kind of mediocre, but he's an okay villain, I guess. This movie, like I said, it's not perfect, but it still has a lot of good moments, and I'm never really bored with it when I watch it. So Iron Man 3 is number 4, and number 3 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I absolutely love this movie, and pretty much all 3 of the top 3 are really great MCU movies, so just because this one's number 3 doesn't mean I dislike it. It's just I like the other 2 a little bit more. But this is a really good one. It's a really great spy thriller and everything. It's action-packed from start to finish. Has some really great action too. Some of the best hand-to-hand combat in the MCU is in this movie, and it has some of the best action in the MCU. And I just love the story and everything, the whole espionage feel of it, and S.H.I.E.L.D. being taken over by Hydra, and him having to relearn his views on the world and everything, and he's still struggling, trying to get used to living in the modern world. And we see him visiting Peggy, which is nice, and this is an introduction of Falcon, who becomes Captain America later on, and is one of my favorite MCU characters and the chemistry between Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson is just once again excellent, and they work really great off of each other in this movie, and it's just a really great movie. So Captain America the Winter Soldier is number 4, and number 3, I'm sorry, and number 2 is Avengers Age of Ultron. This is another one, like with Iron Man 3 and Thor the Dark World. I feel this one is kind of underrated. It doesn't get the love it deserves, but it is still a really entertaining story with a really good cast. Everybody is once again excellent in their roles, and then you get the new cast members. Aaron Taylor Johnson is Quicksilver, which he's fine. He gets the accent down pretty decently and stuff. He just doesn't. He's only in this one movie, so he doesn't have a lot to do and doesn't have a lot to shine, but he's fine. And then you got Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff, who also known as the Scarlet Witch, and she becomes one of the best characters in the MCU, but this is her introduction, and it's a really great introduction and stuff. Although we did briefly see her in Captain America the Winter Soldier during the post-credit scene, but this is like where we really get to see her and stuff. And I had forgotten how creepy she kind of was in this one before she became evil Wanda in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but I really liked her in this one. So but yeah, so all in all, I think this is a really good one. Ultron is a pretty underrated villain and everything. So Avengers Age of Ultron is number 2, but my number 1 favorite MCU Phase 2 movie is Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie is just so much fun from start to finish. I just absolutely love this movie. Every time I watch it, I just like it a little bit more. These characters are just so lovable. They're a ragtag group of characters that you would think you wouldn't be as lovable as they are, but they somehow are. And the story is really entertaining, and I just really love this movie. I always have, and everything. It's so great, and it's a really great introduction to the characters. Great music. It has a really awesome soundtrack. All the songs in here are great, and it holds up really well. The humor is still really funny and everything, but it also has a lot of heart to it, and it's a really great movie and everything. So Guardians of the Galaxy is easily my favorite movie of the Phase 2 of the MCU. So anyway, let me know in the comments how you would rank the MCU Phase 2 movies. If you don't want to do a full ranking, tell me your favorite and least favorite. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.